Check. Check 1, 2. All right, great. Hi, everyone. Great to see everybody attending another fantastic event on this amazing day. I think it's we're at a pivotal moment in this world of AI and Web3, and we've got a pivotal leader with us today. Welcome on stage, Hasan. Great to meet you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
We've had a fantastic dialogue in the back room there on where things are moving in the future digital economy, and obviously the opportunities that lie ahead, not only for the ecosystem but also for us as citizens to sort of move forward and be a contributor as part of that. But you know, on your side and the work that you've been doing with Fardan Exchange and the evolution of Fardan Exchange, it's really at the cornerstone of playing an active role in that transition. I'd love to sort of hear from you on the outset on how that's going for you, and particularly with the emergence of AI on many levels, but also the angle of digital inclusion that you're seeing as a core ingredient towards that strategy. So I'd love to sort of hear some perspective on how that journey for you and the organization's going, and then we'll dive into obviously the other topics as we've been discussing.
Sure, Karl, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for having me. When I think about our journey with AI, you know, we have to remember that we're ultimately using technology to enhance the capabilities of an existing service or an existing operation within our business. So for the last couple of years, we've deployed AI functionalities within our compliance, within our operations, within our risk. And thanks to a lot of these technologies, it's been able to enhance some of our capabilities. We've been able to pick up typologies, for instance, within our compliance that would otherwise be very difficult to pick up through typical manual processes. On the operations side, we've seen some efficiencies in reducing expenses and actually being able to do things that are typically mundane and repetitive in a much more efficient way. But the really exciting part for us is always looking at the customer, right? At the backbone or at the heart of what we do is essentially ensuring financial inclusion. And AI really comes into the fold of digitally led financial inclusion. Now there's a considerable, I would say, customer base that we have is within the blue collar segment. And we're trying to develop ways for us to actually simplify that transaction or simplify the customer journey. So for instance, when you know, we have customers that are, as we discussed earlier, not very comfortable using digital touch points. And we have customers, for instance, that are illiterate or have difficulties dealing with the phone. So we're designing an AI functionality, an AI tool, whereby you know the customer can speak into the tool and it will essentially process the transaction for them. You know, if you simplify using whether it be a food delivery app or transport app, ultimately you want to go from point A to B. You want to buy you know, a certain product. Yeah. Ultimately, you want to send money. So you know, you pick up our app, AlphaPay, say I want to send money to X, Y, and Z person, and how much? I want to send $1,000. You know, and the transaction happens instantly. And it's received within the beneficiary within seconds.
And I think that's really the personalization and the experiences behind that. And I think one of the things you've alluded to there is that consumer is really an evolving consumer, and the expectations behind what they're expecting from a service that you provide is also evolving, particularly in terms of automation and particularly in terms of understanding the needs, using obviously various insights that you collate through that experience. How are you seeing that transition in terms of where the data sets are coming in and how you're able to now get a better grasp on where their expectations are, where their needs are, and how are you using that in the context of you know, bringing more value to those digitally included consumers? And
sure.
So just sort of looking at that perspective.
Definitely. I think a really nice practical application that we have, I mean, one of the services we offer at Fardan Exchange is a wage payment protection system. Yeah. And you know, we provide cards, and very soon digital cards, you know, for the you know, for the blue collars, for the unbanked. And because we have quite a strong data set, you know, which allows us to you know to study and examine the data of a customer very much like a bank customer. We're able to use AI technology for us to be able to derive, you know, say a risk profile, and start to customize specific targeted solutions for them. One of them, which we're very excited about, and we're going to launch very soon, is early wage access. You know, or essentially microfinancing to support those that are blue collars. So we're using quite a sophisticated model for us to be able to do real-time analysis and eventually offer the ability to use microfinancing backed by our WBS portfolio.
I mean, that's groundbreaking in the sense that you're bringing credit opportunity immediately at the transaction point, and that's quite unique. And I think when I look at that and you look at your spread, I mean, you're covering over 100 odd countries. What's that number at the moment? About 100?
So we deal with 150 correspondents around the globe, and we literally cover the entire globe.
So when you look at the growth opportunities around where you're at, and obviously those various types of consumers that are emerging in these different regions, where is that growth story right now, and where is the innovation that's coming through that you're seeing as an opportunity in those regions?
Sure. The biggest growth we're seeing, and I think I've said this in the past, is within the African continent. It's just remarkable to see such a high degree of digital penetration. You don't always need to have a sophisticated infrastructure, to drive digitally led financial inclusion. Yeah. All you need is a mobile phone, and you need somebody to figure out how to use the technology. And we're starting to see more and more payments settling within wallets. At Fardan Exchange, we're also in the process of developing our own wallet, which is going to market, inshallah, very soon. And really, it's not just about facilitating remittances. It's about becoming a life partner to our customer. I'll give the example of, let's say, a customer within Egypt. Let's say he's expecting to, or she is expecting to receive a salary at the end of the month. But what if a genuine opportunity or genuine need for them to raise funds before their salary comes? So given this technology that I talked about earlier, the ability to release wages early, that can happen within minutes. And from a security perspective, it's backed by the WPS portfolio, and it caters for growing demands. Not every element of your life is predictable. There are things that will come just out of the blue. And this really allows and enables people, to deal with their day-to-day demands when they arise and when they come.
I mean, if I think of even the age bracket, we were having that discussion earlier in terms of, I look at my own dad, he's in mid-80s, and first time he picked up a mobile phone was in his early 80s, not knowing how to use it, but now he's fully immersed in it, fully immersed in some of those apps that are available there, the likes of WhatsApp and others. But the expectations are Gen X holds the wealth.
Definitely.
And then they distribute the wealth using these various apps. And I think when I look at what you've created and what you're building it through the omni-channel approach and those various new methods of engagement, it's not just digital inclusion in growth regions, it's also taking it to the demographic that can now engage with that and start to be active in that role.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to recognize that inclusion is not just looking at the blue collar, but it's looking at those that are also that would struggle, to use some of these digital touch points without any formal support. I mean, my father was with us today, in the crowd. He used to talk to me about how settlements used to take roughly a month end to end, and now if you don't do it within seconds, people are asking what's going on. so there's an expectation of real time, and I mean, even my grandfather, God bless him, was 95, and his brothers are roughly the same age. They're engaging over WhatsApp, sending voice notes, responding in emojis. So it's becoming more and more accessible. And I think while we are very much focused on an omni-channel strategy, it's very quickly shifting to digital first. And you're seeing it within blue collars. You're seeing it within I would say slightly higher age groups. And it's very exciting to see how we can pull all these people into the fold of inclusion.
And I think this is where when you look at the engagement model for this region, and you look at the transition of the region towards a fully digitally enabled economy, your transition has been sort of a pillar of how that could look like in many sectors. So the experiences you have gone through in evolving your workforce and evolving the strategy behind the growth, just some learnings and insights on how that's been for you and the organisation, particularly with the advent of obviously, or adoption of AI and other sort of various platforms and technologies. But how has that been, and where do you see that moving over the course of the next number of years, maybe half a decade from now? Because it's obviously been pivotal to your growth story.
we harness, and we very much believe in the ability for AI, to improve our operations and to enhance it. And it's actually going to be it is actually one of the strategic pillars of our business. And it has to start from your digital architecture. You have to look at it from an ethical point of view. I think people tend to focus a lot on the ability to reduce cost, to eliminate inefficiencies, which yes is a nice to have. But we also have a moral obligation and ethical obligation to train people that may potentially lose jobs that would otherwise be done using AI bots. So there's obviously a commercial element that's not to be ignored, and we actually have to sometimes think up and beyond that commercial element.
Yeah, I think that's the fine line. It's the commercial return, but also the, I guess, the purpose and transition of a workforce which can add value. And I'm a big believer in the future being driven through portfolio careers. And the reason why I say that, not because I've been doing it, but mainly because I look at AI as giving me back time. And the concept is, if it reduces my time engagement in a device such as this, and technology gives me back time, what do I do with it? And the key behind what I do with it is, how do I immerse myself in the creative world, whether it's in an ecosystem, let's assume it's in the startup ecosystem or another ecosystem, and re-infuse that into my current function and role, and be incentivized to do that as an individual contributor or as a leader within my organization. Are those sort of thoughts on your mind, or is that part of sort of a thinking in terms of what you can bring? Because time is really the essence. If you can bring or release time using tech, then what do you do with those efficiencies, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a philosophical question as much as a technical one, right? We think of time, obviously, from our perspective. How can we be quicker? How can we reduce turnaround time of our transactions? How could we respond to customer queries or customer complaints in a much quicker way? How do we make sure that our customers' transactions are just getting shorter and shorter and shorter? You will come to a point where, realistically, how much time are you going to give back, right?
Yeah.
But then what do you do with that other time? I mean, from a business perspective, if you spend less time on managing day-to-day operations, you could spend more and more time potentially dealing with customers and dealing with new opportunities and engagements. So it's in some ways a good problem to have, but I think there's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to, realistically, what are you going to do with all that excess time?
Absolutely, and I think one of the opportunities I look at in relation to that is that if I do have that extra time, and I'm tech-enabled now because of the systems and the algorithms being placed to essentially replicate me, I can now engage in a front-end engagement. And we're all, whoever we work for, whether it's our own business or obviously a corporate like yourself, is we represent the organization. So every opportunity to meet is essentially a business development opportunity.
Absolutely.
And then through that, you think of the experiences that the services are providing, and how do you innovate behind that? And so that's the uniqueness, I think, of having what you've built in the context of being in the hand of everyone and being able to then transact. But then also internally as staff members, how do you then become more creative and innovative to contribute to that evolution?
Absolutely.
If you had to sort of look beyond, I mean, we're looking at here, obviously the Dubai's strategy around AI and Web3 is very clear. It's forward thinking. I've been here 18 years, and it just gets better and better. But what I find is the growth in FDI, both tech, talent, obviously capital is coming as well. Is quite explosive at the moment. There's a lot of interest to come here.
Yes.
If you sort of had to provide maybe a few touch points around, what should some of these entities look at, and particularly because you're building partnerships as well.
Yes.
And Al Fardan Exchange is growing through partnerships.
Yes.
The digital economy is not just built on digital transformation. There are digital assets. Yes. There's a future consumer story. And those future consumers we're starting to see kids like mine and yours who are, born into the internet age, transacting digital assets, digital currencies in some cases. What would be some of your, I guess, guide points in terms of partnerships opportunities, but also in terms of, how entities that come out here can collaborate and partner.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely. I think we have to prepare our next generations, I think, for a very, very different world than what we are today. A very digital world, a world where we're going to see perhaps cash disappear at some point or be used in a far lesser capability. I think we've demonstrated in the UAE this unique ability, to be front runners and amongst the leaders globally within AI adoption, AI research, AI investment. When you look at some of the technologies that are coming out of Mohammed bin Zayed University in Abu Dhabi, for instance, you look at some of the strategic investments that were signed, with NVIDIA by some of the Abu Dhabi sovereigns. There's Abu Dhabi and the UAE and Dubai, are amongst the forefront of adoption, technology, and investment. So people, I think we're going to be in a position very soon where we're going to start exporting our own ideas, our own technologies, our own solutions to the world. And companies like us at the Fardan Exchange, piloting this new product that we talked about, the AI-assisted screening, also I think will help drive some of that innovation and some of those ideas. Ultimately we have to thank the leadership of the United Arab Emirates, for supporting and enabling the UAE to be such a significant contributor on the global stage. And we believe we have a small part to play in being part of that wave of AI advancement.
No, it's not a small part, it's a critical part. And, mashallah, it's been a journey for you in
Yes.
building that out. And obviously with your dad, mashallah, is obviously here. I think for me, when I look at that journey, it's a replica of what's happening in the region in terms of the opportunities to grow and scale through partnerships which are unique now. A lot of these partnerships are built on the ground over here. And so, the entities I'm advising, which is span the digital and data economy, they're all looking for the opportunities here
Yes.
to scale and grow.
Yes.
And I think when I look at your journey and I look at the opportunities to innovate and pivot, tech is just an enabler.
Yes.
But strategy, leadership, and the fertile governance and guidelines that are in place now are part of that. I've seen some of your announcements that you've made recently on the partnership front. Obviously, there was a recent one on the digital asset side. And
Yes.
Is there anything there you want to share that you may or may not
Sure.
be able to, or is it something
No, I can perhaps share a few points. We're a strong believer in the disruptive ability of digital assets to change the remittance landscape. Though when you come to the selection of digital assets, I'm a little bit, I would say, conservative when it comes to crypto, as in retail crypto. What we tend to focus on more is the CBDC, the central bank-backed digital currency, for many reasons. I mean, in order for an asset to be considered as a sovereign means of exchange, you need stability, you need oversight, you need governance. You need supervision from a regulator, which sometimes can be a little bit challenging with crypto. So if I look very favorably upon the Enbridge project, which UAE has a central role to play. And I think it's important that we prepare ourselves from a local infrastructure within the country. And I have to speak very, very highly of the Central Bank of UAE and how they started the FIT program, the Financial Infrastructure Transformation Program, which is essentially setting up the country for that massive transition into digital currencies. And that is predominantly the future. And one of the things that we are looking at, and I think is going to be quite important for the subsequent generations, for the growing generations, is developing financial literacy that includes some basic understanding of digital assets. And ensuring that we are preparing these young generations, that we're not only instilling the good I'd say financial literacy or financial knowledge, but we're also teaching them the basics about digital assets and about crypto.
You're spot on. In fact, I just chaired a round table on the future digital economy. In fact, that came out as one of those areas is literacy, digital literacy. But the younger generation, funny enough, they may teach us about those digital assets, right? Because they're already trading them on Roblox and other sort of games. But that is at the heart of it. And having that clarity in governance and regulation, I think, gives everyone an opportunity to then innovate. When you know the rules of the game, you can then go and play within the rules and start to be very active and as decisive as you need to accelerate. And that's sort of the learning path that I've seen here. And it's no chance that you've got a virtual asset regulatory authority, which I think is still in the metaverse, but let's just say it may well still be there. But the point is that kind of thought-leading strategy allows us to then be thought leading in our approach, and what you've been doing is taking that on board, seeing what's coming, and then start to navigate the personal strategy for the consumer experiences. Any final, I'm not sure how we are on time because there's no clock here, by the way, so I can see there just 53 seconds up the top.
Yeah.
They never pointed to me. Thanks for pointing. Any final thoughts about about where you see things moving forward in this space, particularly in the world of the digital economy, and where Al Fardan could look like in the next 5 or 10 years? What's some of the thoughts about how you see Al Fardan looking?
Sure.
like?
I mean, at Fardan Exchange, we're very rapidly transitioning to a digital-first strategy, and we're focusing primarily on delivering our wallet application in the coming months, inshallah. And it's really about enabling people to use these digital touch points and ensuring that we're providing the relevant support. And it's not just about being a provider of remittances at Fardan Exchange. It's about being a partner, a life partner to our customers. Supporting them with their needs as they come, and relying on us as a solid partner.
Brilliant. Well, there you go, everyone. Please thank Hassan Al Fardan Al Fardan Exchange for being here and supporting this amazing conference.
My
Thank you for your
pleasure.
time.
Thank you.